Hello everyone and welcome back to the Toby Lodge channel. It's time for another Fantasy EFL preview, and this week we're on game week 18. It's another one of those tricky double game weeks where only a few teams actually double, so there's very tricky 50-50 decisions, but obviously only a select amount of players. So we've got all of the key data on all of the key players, and we're lucky enough to be joined by the world number 8 at the time of recording this, Fantasy EFL Sam. Will be on for Experts Corner later, so make sure you stick around for that too. So without further ado, let's not waste any more time and let's get into it. However, before we can move on to this week's shenanigans, we've of course got to have a look at game week 17, have a bit of a recap as to how that went. And at the time of recording this, it's actually still ongoing. I'm recording this on the Wednesday before the Wednesday fixtures of game week 17. So my week still should hopefully get quite a bit better actually tonight, because I've got quite a lot of assets and I would like to think I've got more assets than the average person has left, because I went for Tanganga in there too. So it's quite a lot on him just to do well, but 85 points is fine. It's not amazing. I believe that loser should be getting an extra 2 points, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen now, because he got 4 key passes in his second fixture which haven't been given. But it is what it is. He still had a very solid haul as my captain, which is kind of why we put him in. He's been a really consistent asset. I said it to somebody over on X, FEFLTIPS, if you're not following it. I'm always posting over there about Fantasy EFL. I said it's really nice to actually pick a consistent asset and them get consistent points. He got 6 points in each of the games, so a really nice haul from him. Keeley, really not a good week for Luton, who had 3 clean sheets in a row and they were nowhere near it. I think he only made like 1 save in both the games as well, so a nightmare there. Thomas and Kramer both scored own goals, which is just hilarious, the fact that that's happened in 1 week. They're really popular for a lot of teams, and a lot of teams will have them in. If you avoided both of them completely, fair play to you. And if you went for Kitching over Thomas, who instead of getting the own goal scored 2 goals himself, then fair play to you. Let me know if any of you went for Kitching, because that is insane. Not insane of you, like that's just a good shout. You did really well to pick the differential option. Tanganga, of course, I'm hoping that he does well tonight. O'Hare as well. Those Sheffield United assets are going to be really big, and those are kind of the ones that could really help my rank. Similar with Stansfield as well. It had to be a late call because Brandon Thomas Asante was on the bench, so we went for Stansfield, which I was happy with. But I've put a little note here. Why didn't I go Sims or go for Torp in my team? I wanted Torp in him, and I was quite big on him last week. I spoke about it. I just didn't think about the fact that I'd freed up a Coventry asset, and if I'd have kind of realised that, then I would have put Torp in, who did really well. I probably would have taken one of the defenders out, albeit I probably would have taken Tanganga out, who did pretty well anyway. So maybe I can't complain too much there, but I think that was just a bit of a rookie error from me. Like, I just didn't even clock the fact that I'd then freed up that Coventry spot, which I either would have gone for Torp or probably would have gone for Sims. The direct replacement just made sense. But hindsight always makes these decisions seem like they're a little bit easier. But I'm still not complaining too much. The week has been fine. I'm just hoping that Stansfield and Tanganga especially, if they can pull through tonight, then I will be over the moon. But yeah, fingers crossed. We're on a good green arrow as well. We're looking like we could finally creep into that top 5k if we do have a good night. So fingers crossed there. Hope that everybody's fixtures go well. If you've already, if you're watching this on Thursday or Friday, hope that they've gone well already. Now let's get on to this week. So before we have a bit of a chat about the key information this week about the 4 teams who are doubling, I've just got to say a massive thank you to everybody who supported the channel, especially over the last week. That EFL Panini sticker opening was just massive for the channel. So thank you so much everybody who showed support, who showed love, especially the ones, who've been in here since day one, since the start of the Twitter account and everything like that. But even the people who have joined in recently, who've been watching the content, I appreciate you so much. So thank you for tuning in. It means so much. And to hit 500 subscribers, I know it's not a big milestone whatsoever in the grand scheme of YouTube. There's miles bigger things, but it does mean a lot to me. And now we're on the road to 1,000. So if you've not hit subscribe, please do hit like as well. It helps to push the content out as far as possible. I'm so grateful for everybody who watches. It genuinely means the world to me. And yes, we'll be having a Christmas special where I'm dressed up as Santa Claus on the Christmas week of fixtures. So get yourselves excited for that one, because I'm more than happy to embarrass myself for the sake of content. On to this week anyway. Enough plugging. The double game week that we've got 2 championship teams and 2 League One teams, those being Blackburn and Ipswich and Burton and Wigan. It's basically just a 50-50 call between both of those fixtures. who do you think is going to win them? Obviously, the fixtures around them can affect things as well. We'll talk about the fixtures that they've got in just a moment, but that's the situation this week. I would only pick players from those 4 teams. I think that is the smart way to go about things. Maybe you could sneak in one single game week player or so, but I personally wouldn't be doing it. But if you're really confident in maybe one asset, maybe a midfielder or something like that, then maybe do go for it. But I would say stack out this team with double game week players while you can, because you've got 2 shots at something incredible happening. You might as well take that opportunity while you can. So here is the club pick situation and all of the data rounded up. I'll go through Ipswich, Blackburn, Burton and then Wigan in that order. So we'll start off talking about Ipswich, who I would probably say have the best fixtures on paper out of anybody in the double game week this week, because they've got Oxford and Blackburn, who the average league position is 19.5. Ipswich, who their data themselves is really, really good too. It's just the fact that they're 2 away games, and a few times this season, Ipswich in these games where we think they should have got a result, they have kind of struggled and just struggled to convert those expected goals into actual goals and convert those really good defensive numbers into clean sheets. But they're starting to get better and better and a bit more consistent. It was actually the first week that I picked them in Fantasy EFL last week, so I've certainly got that team pick freed up. I know a lot of people might be on 3 Ipswich picks or something like that, so maybe you might want to look at Blackburn, but I still think that if you think they're the right call this week, then I would go for it. Don't mind picking them whatsoever, and I think that I probably will do. Although my initial reaction to the double game week was, I think I want to go for Blackburn, but I've changed my mind now and I'm preferring Ipswich just by the look of the data. Blackburn's data themselves is actually really good though. Their attacking data and defensive data is really solid, and if it wasn't against a team that are as good as Ipswich, then I would quite fancy backing it. But I do think that Wrexham away is a tough place to go as well in that fixture, so if something's going to kind of disrupt the balance, then I think that fixture might sway me towards Ipswich. I also think because of the strange scenario in which this game got rescheduled by Blackburn were winning 1-0 with 10 minutes to go, Ipswich had 10 men, I just think it's written in the stars that Ipswich then win the replay when Blackburn were almost certainly going to win that game. I just think that that's the way that these things work, but maybe my gut will be wrong, but I just think it makes sense to go for Ipswich. And I would feel really bad for Blackburn fans, but it would also be quite funny if they do end up losing that game. Burton and Wigan now. In terms of this, it's so tricky to call because Burton recently have been unbelievable. They've only lost 2 of their last 10 games. They've won 5 in that time, so they're 5-3-2 in their last 10. Their form has been really, really good, but equally Wigan haven't lost in their last 4, winning 2 and drawing 2 in the last 4. So I'd slightly prefer the Burton fixtures because I think that Wigan is a place that you can go and Wigan can be got at. I think that the crowd turns toxic a little bit in places like that, and their home form hasn't been perfect, but they have only lost 2 at home this season, Wigan. So yeah, I think it's really tricky, a tough call between them. Burton's defence, they've got a lot of clean sheets this season, but their defensive data is not good in terms of expected goals against them, whereas Wigan, their attacking data is really good and the defensive data is good. The Stevenage fixture is what puts me off Wigan. I'm 80% sure in my mind that I want to go for Wigan. However, it's just the fact that they're playing top of the league Stevenage, but the fact that Stevenage are away and they've faltered a little bit recently, although they're starting to get back on track, I think I'm going to go for Wigan. But if anybody goes for Burton, I really don't think that there's much in it. You kind of just got to get lucky this week. Go with your gut feeling. And hope that is what pulls through. It's going to be really tricky. There's going to be massive swings, but I just wouldn't take it too much to heart when things go wrong because, yeah, some people are going to get this week absolutely perfect. Some people are going to get it massively wrong. It's just a bit of a 50-50 as to what you go for. Have a look at the data, see which one you prefer, see whose form you prefer, and just make an educated guess. Now, the player picks make things a bit more interesting this week than just the club picks, because the clubs, it just feels like such a close call. It's kind of horrible to have to pick who you want to go for. But in terms of the defenders, you've sort of got the options of the more attacking ones, or maybe you want to go for a more consistent clearance-based player because you're not sure who is going to really pull through. I'm kind of looking at doing a bit of a mixture of both, although I think that in these weeks when it's a really close goal, just going for the defenders who have the really good bonuses isn't a bad idea, because then if they don't keep a clean sheet, at least they get a couple extra points. If they keep a clean sheet, they've got a really nice points tally, Whereas you go for an attacking one, yes, they have the massive ceilings of the potential 15 plus pointers, but they've also got those floors where they could equally get, they could pretty easily get a 2 or a 3 pointer, whereas you're looking at maybe a 5 pointer for the more, consistent players with the bonus points. Let's have a look individually anyway at them. And Curry's my favourite from Wigan, but I think that Ameson's a decent shout as well. He's one of those whose bonuses are really, really good. So if you go for him, I don't think it's the worst shout in the world, but I don't know how likely they are to keep a clean sheet when they've only kept 2 all season. But the fact that they've got 2 home fixtures probably leans in towards the fact that maybe they could keep a clean sheet. O'Shea and Leif Davis. Davis is the more attacking option of the two for Ipswich, but O'Shea is more consistent with the bonuses, although O'Shea's attacking data has still been good, and he seems to keep cropping up with these assists, these occasional goals, things like that. And I think that his attacking data in the Premier League was pretty decent as well, but maybe I'm wrong there. Leif Davis, his attacking data was unbelievable in the Premier League, and he's kept that up this year, but he's not quite got the goals and assists to show for it. He's got a massive ceiling, but O'Shea feels a bit more consistent, so it just depends, that risk against reward, what's worth it for you. I'm leaning towards O'Shea out of the two, I must say, but I do love Davis as an asset too. If you're really confident in Ipswich, doubling up might be a good way to go. Alabiosu from Blackburn, out of the Blackburn defenders, he's just the one that I would go for. His clearances are bad, but his bonuses in terms of tackles are actually decent. I've spoken about him quite a few times in the last few weeks. I've always been tempted to go for him. This is the week where I think I finally have that reason to actually back him. If I was going to go for a different Blackburn defender, I'd maybe look at Miller. He scored last game, but I just prefer the attacking data of Alabiosu, and I think that he's a bit more likely as he's further up the pitch, whereas Miller plays that right of the three. Alabiosu plays as a fairly attacking wing-back. His expected goal involvement data is very nice as well. Lofthouse for Burton, he's had a great attacking output this season with a goal on 4 assists. His attacking data is decent as well. A little bit similarly to the O'Shea and Davis situation, Hartridge is a bit more consistent in terms of the bonuses, so it depends which one, again, do you want the risk against the reward. But equally, Lofthouse, similarly to Alabiosu, he's had a few tackles in there as well. So yeah, Lofthouse definitely not perfect for bonuses. Hartridge is the better one for bonuses out of the Burton defenders. I think if I was going to go for one of them, again, I would probably lean towards Hartridge, as I'm quite liking the look of those clearance-based defenders this week. But I think it's a pretty close call. In the honourable mentions as well, I've got Bertoni from Wigan. He's listed as a defender, but I believe he's actually an attacker. He came off the bench for his first ever appearance for Wigan, his first ever league appearance at 18 years old this weekend, and scored 2 in the space of, I think it was 15 minutes or so. There's a slight chance that he starts the game because Wigan's attackers have been really poor this season and their output's been really bad, but I don't think that he's very likely. I would predict him over the course of the double game week at a maximum to get 90 minutes between both, being like a 60 minutes and a 30 minutes. But I don't even think that he'll get that. But if you want a really, really attacking defensive play, even if he starts on the bench, maybe you still want to go for it because he probably will come on. But I wouldn't advise going for it. But if you are slightly crazy and you really fancy a big differential, Bertoni, there is definitely potential there. The fact that he scored 2 goals in his only ever game that he's played. But it's a bit of a wild one to go for. So that's where we're looking in terms of defenders. I'm sorry if that was a bit confusing the way that I spoke about 2 assets from each team at the same time. But yeah, if I was to say my favourites, I'd probably say O'Shea and Alabiosu. Quite like Hartridge, but just Burton's defensive data, aside from the fact they've got a lot of clean sheets, it's actually not very good. So can't decide there too much. I think O'Shea and Alabiosu, and then we'll see if we end up needing a bit of a change around or not. Onto the midfielders section now, and there is one clear asset here who everybody's going to be looking at this week, and that's Charlie Webster. However, there is potential that he's injured and that he doesn't play in the double game week, so keep an eye out for that. In his last appearance, he only played 45 minutes, came off at half time, so certainly, keep your eye out. I think he's going to be in nearly everybody's team, but if he doesn't end up playing, then it's just going to cause absolute carnage, because to be honest, the rest of the midfield picks, there's no real standouts that are looking quite as good as Webster looks as an asset. So I would say go for Webster. If he plays, I would definitely be on it. He's the main man for Burton, but I would be a little bit wary and, make sure that you've got a plan if he doesn't play, because that's quite high likelihood. Hedges from Blackburn and Morishita. I prefer Morishita, in my opinion, because I think that in terms of output, from what I've watched, just my eye test watching Blackburn, I watched their game against Preston, was impressed with him. Hedges, I've got a lot of friends who are Blackburn fans. They do not like Hedges one bit. He only scored 1 goal the whole of last season as well. His output hasn't been the worst in the world this season. His XGI is decent. The interception numbers are okay as well. But I'm personally going off my own eye test. I've watched quite a lot of Blackburn and know their fans as well, and they don't think that he's too likely to actually score a goal in the game, whereas Morishita has looked really good. But equally, the Hedges interceptions, if you want to just look at it sort of mechanically and numerically, then Hedges with the interceptions might be a far safer bet to score some points, and you've only got to look as far as the average points to see that. Nunes and Matusiwa from Ipswich. Nunes is a massive minutes risk. He seems to start one, get benched for one, or get benched for 2 in a row, and then start one. So equally, similarly to Batoni, who I talked about in terms of that Wigan defender, I think that Nunes is probably going to play a maximum of 100 minutes in the double game week, something around there, maybe 100 to 120. Which if it was 120, that wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, I'm not too confident that he plays absolutely loads of minutes, and his XGI numbers are really, really good, but that's just because I think he's not played consistent minutes. That's XGI that's tallied up over 15 half an hour periods. Matusiwa, however, is a very different asset to Nunes. Nunes is very much a free kick specialist, a bit of a technician. Matusiwa, an interception based asset. His numbers have been so good this season. 2.04 interceptions per 90 is crazy. I think that he got 6 interceptions in his last appearance, something like that, which obviously bulks up those numbers quite a bit. But I just think an interception-based asset he's been pretty consistent with the 4s and the 6s that he scored over the season. I think he's pretty nailed on to be in my team, because I don't have to worry about the goal situation and how involved is he going to get. Is he going to blank? I would hope that he doesn't blank because of how good the numbers have been, but you never know with these sort of things. But I like him as an asset. And then in terms of the Wigan midfielders, I actually prefer Callum Wright over Fraser Murray. Fraser Murray is the more popular pick. Murray, of course, he scored more goals, got an extra assist over Wright this season, but their XGI is really similar. More key passes for Murray. He's more of that really involved player. However, Callum Wright has still had some really high quality chances. And in terms of eye test as well, when I've watched Callum Wright play against Wycombe, I've always been really, really impressed with him and think that he's a great player. I think he was at Leicester as a youngster, maybe on loan at Cheltenham, and he played really, really well against us. And I remember thinking back then, this is a lad to keep an eye out for. Interception numbers far better on Wright than Murray. So in my opinion, I'm leaning towards Wright over Murray. I think that you could double up on both of these. I don't think that they are the worst assets in the world, and out of any of those midfielders that are up for grabs this week, I think they've got quite high ceilings, both of them. I'm leaning towards Wright, but I don't think that Murray is necessarily a bad option, and he is a little bit more involved. Gardner Hickman I've put as an honourable mention because his interceptions for Blackburn have been decent, but I just think that I prefer some of the other assets, but I really don't think that he's a bad pick this week too. A lot going on there in the midfielder section. There's no other Burton midfielders that I really like aside from Webster. I'd just say, if you're putting Webster in your team, make sure you've got a plan, because obviously you're going to be using a lot of the 2 slots out of the teams this week for these teams. So yeah, make sure you've got a plan around Webster this week, because there is quite a high chance that he doesn't end up playing. Also, just to add to the midfielder section, Todd Cantwell looks like he's going to be out of action for the foreseeable for Blackburn. If he somehow did end up starting, I would put him in your team. He's a brilliant asset, but it doesn't look like he's going to play, whether that's injury or something's gone on behind the scenes wrong. And now for this week's forward section, and there isn't a whole ton of choice this week, but there's a few different players from different teams that you might want to think about. And in terms of Ipswich, they've got 3 assets really who I'll be looking at, and that's Philogene, Hurst and Clark. I've put Clark as an honourable mention because his minutes are really insecure, and there's actually a chance that he maybe doesn't even start either of those games. So I would probably look at Philogene and Hurst, although Clark's attacking numbers have been really good this season. Philogene, the XGI isn't great, but the results, he just seems to be producing decent output, whereas Hurst, he's got a bit better XGI, but his goal and assists haven't been amazing as of late anyway. Philogene, I never liked too much an asset because you hit that hat-trick and then had a lot of blanks around that time of hitting the hat-trick, so he just felt a little bit inconsistent. But he's had a very nice double game. I think he got 10 points 5 points in each of the games, one of them being off the bench. That's just the risk with him. I think there's always, quite a high chance that he gets benched or he only plays 70 minutes or so. But it is similar with Hurst as well. But I would probably back Hurst to start both of the games, probably over Philogene. But it's very close. I think that the minutes aren't great on either of them, but they're both decent assets. So certainly wants to consider Hurst, of course, going to be up front and on penalties too, which might sway you towards Hurst. Ahashi and Johnson, similarly, Ahashi's on penalties, so that might sway you towards him out of the two. Both of them been in decent form recently. Johnson scored against Preston and Ahashi didn't, though, but they do play tonight as I'm recording this, so things might change, and whatever happens in this mid-game week, maybe there's going to be an injury to somebody, and that changes the way that we're looking at things. Also keeping an eye out, as I mentioned, in the midfielders on Cantwell's return, if he ends up coming back or not, or if something, if he's falling out behind the scenes, he's probably not going to play again. But he certainly will make it a bit less likely that both of these are starting the games too. So yeah, the minutes, the security, I feel a bit better with Ahashi out of the two of them. I think that he's played 90s quite often recently, quite regularly, and because he's on penalties, leaning towards him. But Johnson, the son of Ida Johnson, by the way, legendary forward, his form recently, he's tempting, but I think that Ahashi feels like the one to me. Beasley for Burton, his form really, really good. In terms of the form, he's probably the most in form out of all the assets who are listed here, and I do like the fixtures quite a bit as well. It's just, if I'm going for Wigan as the team pick, Beasley doesn't make sense for me. But if you were going for the Burton team pick, I think that Beasley is a really smart pick because the form's been so good recently. And I've put Costello in here. He's a bit of an honourable mention too. The Wigan forwards this season have been awful. They've been really bad. But Costello, he got a red card recently, so missed a couple games, and he came back and played 77 minutes, something like that, in his first game back. He was very nice, a very nice asset for Northampton last year. Played really well for them in Fantasy EFL. He got a couple of nice returns too. I think that if I was going to go for a Wigan forward, I'll go for Costello. I think that his minutes will be decent, but equally does this youngster that's emerged out of nowhere, does he take some minutes off him? Maybe. The XGI is very solid for Costello, but he's only scored 1 goal all season, so tread carefully if you're looking at him. The forwards, it's just so tricky this week. I think that it makes sense to just go for one of them and hope for the best, because they don't feel good enough to me to be looking at two forwards up front. I'm leaning towards Ahashi, but the Ipswich ones are definitely not bad picks. It's just, do I want to use those two Ipswich picks elsewhere? Gather around, everyone. Welcome back to the Experts Corner, where we get some of Fantasy EFL's finest minds every week, and we bring you their first draft for the week, their kind of current draft that they're on at the minute. I am honoured to be joined by Fantasy EFL Sam, who is absolutely smashing it this season. He's 8th as we speak currently on the Wednesday evening. Maybe that'll go down or up as the games are played, I'm not sure, but he's in a really good position and he's going to be going into next week, I'm sure. His handle is up on the screen as well, so give Sam a follow. A legend for coming on, a top man as well. So yeah, let's hand over to Sam and see how he's looking for the week.
Hi, I'm Sam and on Experts Corner for this week. Before I start, I just want to say a massive thank you for the opportunity, a great channel to show some love. At the time of recording, I'm currently 7th in the world in EFL Fantasy, and here's my GameWeek 18 team selection. In goal, I've opted for Chris Walton. 3 goals conceded in the last 5 for Ipswich and 2 clean sheets in a row, alongside a very good chance of save bonuses too, which makes Walton a very good option. In defence, I've gone for Jason Kerr. The central centre-back in a back 3 for Wigan, who will face 2 home matches the next upcoming game week. A very good floor, averaging 8.9 clearances per match, alongside tackle and block bonuses too. Stevenage have only scored 3 goals in the last 5 away matches, which is very good for Kerr, alongside a very direct side in Stevenage, which could be good for his bonuses. Next to Kerr, I've got Leif Davis. I really like Leif this week as he has corners and also 0.7 for expected assists in his last 2 matches, which means he is due an assist as he's creating the chances. However, this position could also be Darrow O'Shea, as I think he's very good too. On to midfield. In my midfield, first pick is Callum Wright, an important creative spark for Wigan, who's got 2 goals in his last 3 competitions and is a good all-rounder with a good balance of shots on target, key passes and interception bonuses, making him a very good pick. Next to Callum Wright, I've currently got Taylor Gardner-Hickman. Unsure on this spot, and this could be another Blackburn midfielder, but for now it's him. Solid for key passes and interceptions, and averages 1.6 interceptions per home match. Wrexham Boy is also a good fixture for interceptions, in my opinion, as they play midfield 5, which could be good for interceptions for Taylor Gardner-Hickman. Next to Gardner-Hickman, my current captain is Charlie Webster. 4 goals and 4 assists this season. alongside corners and free kicks and a key pass magnet. Alongside this, Orient struggle away from home and concede a lot, so I think Webster could get himself a goal or an assist, and if there's a goal for Burton, he's likely to be involved. A goal in the last 2 meetings between these two sides, and a key architect for this Burton side, making him a very good pick. Up front, I've opted for Jake Beasley. Another Burton player, yeah, I know they're not great, but slim pickings this week. Pens for a Burton side and 2 goals and assists in his last 3 games. 0.46 XG per 90 and an XG of 7.5 this season, making him a great option. My club picks are currently Wigan and Ipswich. Wigan unbeaten in their last 4 and have 2 home matches, making them a very good pick. And alongside Wigan, I've currently got Ipswich. Ipswich are by far the best team in my opinion this double. Despite the 2 away matches, I really like them, as they face struggling side Oxford on the Friday night, which I think is a very good fixture for an informed team. The Tractor Boys unbeaten in 6, and I think they found their form, so I think they're very good this week. So them and Wigan will be my team picks. That rounds up my team selection for this week. Don't forget to show some love for this Legends account, and very much good luck to you all.
Thank you very much for the kind words, Sam, and for coming on once again. Really liking the team, and Sam's actually got quite a few little differential picks in there too, which I really like to see. He's also on Callum Wright, which, you know, makes me happy knowing that somebody who's doing really, really well, a lot better than I'm doing anyway, is also on him. So love the team, Sam. Thanks for coming on, you legend. Good luck for the week and in your pursuit in rising up the table. And yeah, thanks very much for coming on. Now to have a look at my own team selection, and here is what I'm on at the moment. I'm actually really happy with how it looks. I hate these game weeks that have just like the 4 teams doubling, because they're always just really tricky and it's just such close calls that you can get punished really badly for, and I don't think that it necessarily deserves that. But yeah, I like the look of it, but it all just relies on Webster. He's kind of like the piece in here, because there's 4 teams and you've got to have 7 player picks. You've got to basically have at least 1 player from every team. You're going to be doubling up on 3 teams, and then you've got 1 single pick. Now my 1 single pick I want to use on Burton. If I have to take Webster out, I'll probably end up putting Hartridge in, and then I've got to swap maybe Morishita in the midfield. He feels like he makes sense, but I just want to have that 3 in midfield. Those are the 3 that I'm happy with. So I really don't want to have to swap anything out. So I don't know. I think that Webster could actually be a captaincy shout if he does start, but I think that there's probably a high likelihood that he doesn't, and then it ends up being Hartridge and being Morishita in there. Yeah, liking the look of how it is at the moment. We've gone for a Hashi as the forward, but it could maybe be Johnson. I do like the Ipswich forwards, but I just think that I really like Matu Siwa because of how good the interceptions have been. And like I said, I think that's a pick that I just don't have to stress about. And then I think that an Ipswich defender makes sense. But equally, if I'm going for them as a team pick, you know, then having a Blackburn attacker or an attacker that's playing against one of my team picks, does that make sense? I don't know. And the Wrexham away fixture is tricky. My head is just a mess with it. I think that this is as happy as I'm going to be with the team. We've just got to pray that Webster starts so that I can stop overthinking things and just stick with this side, because I'm very happy with it, and I've got a couple assets, the likes of Alabiosu and Callum Wright, I've liked for a long time, that I'm finally getting to choose. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for this week. I hope that all this data roundup has really helped you out, because I've spent quite an intensive time looking at all of the players who I'm liking the look of. If I've missed out any assets who you really like the look of too, who you've got included in your team or who you're debating, then do let me know. But obviously there is a very finite amount of players who we can pick this week, but let me know down below if there's any assets that you think I've missed out or maybe overlooked this week. If you're going for a single game week player as well, I'd love to know who you're going for, who you might be backing this week, because I think that it's a bit of a wild strategy, but I do think that there could be a bit of joy in it. But I just much prefer and think that you're more likely to hit a high score by going for the doublers. I wish everybody the best of luck, and once again, thank you for 500 subscribers. We're on the road to 1,000 now. That's the next aim, so do hit subscribe, hit the like button if you haven't already. It means so much, the fact that you're tuned in. Thank you so much. Good luck for the week, and don't stress if you do badly this week, because it's going to be a really, really swingy week, and there's going to be some real close calls, but there's a high likelihood to go against you. You know, it's 50-50s all around. I wish everybody the best of luck. I'll see you again, same time, same place next week, and peace.